South Africa, New Zealand is always an age-old rivalry. It could decide the course of the Rugby Championship, and it also could decide the future of New Zealand's head coach Ian Foster. And I thought you were going to score.
Ask a better question, you get a better answer.
Hi guys, welcome back. So let's get stuck into these teams for South Africa versus New Zealand. The first test of two in South Africa. Now, South Africa have slowly evolved their team. There's a few changes now that look like they're fairly permanent. A few positions in flux, but really it's fairly steady. There's a few injuries, but not a lot of disruption for them. And after that Wales tour, I think they should be much better set as a team. Let's have a look in the front row. There is a change. It's Malcolm Marx in at hooker. A fantastic hooker, easily good enough to start. They normally bring him off the bench. Mbonambi starts, but it's his 50th cap. Is that partly to do with it? Sometimes they rotate to kind of keep them happy, keep the team fresh as such. But anyway, Unyinkane, Marx, Malherbe are the front row. Very, very strong. And of course, they've got the bomb squad to come on. Yes, Marx isn't in the bomb squad, but Mbonambi's a hell of a player. Then Kitsoff and Koch. Unbelievable stuff. So not a problem there at all. Second row wise, it's their first choice second rows. Etzebeth and De Jager. Top quality, world-class second rows, and they've got a stack on the bench as well. They've got another second row on the bench, and Mostert, who can play second row or back row. Quagga Smith's another back row as well, so they could chuck on loads of big guys. That's their MO. They've got their 6-2 split as normal. So much power, scary stuff for New Zealand to deal with. Back rows looking fairly settled now. Khaleesi, of course, at open side. That's 6 for South Africa. Then we've got Pieter-Steph du Toit at 7, who, has been getting back into it after injury. Will be a lot better, I think, for the extra training. So we should see the best of him in this series. Again, that's fairly scary news for New Zealand. Then we've got Jasper Visa there at number 8, who is their first choice 8 now. Vermeulen's kind of phased out. We may see him back in and around the squad, but I think Visa is their first choice 8. And rightly so, he's incredibly combative, incredibly direct. As long as he gets on the right side of the law, he is a really impactful ball carrier. De Klerk is back in. Faf de Klerk's back in. He had a pretty errant game when he played against Wales. His kicking was well off. Hendriksen's probably a better kicker. I thought he might start, but they've gone with de Klerk, who has been their first choice for a long time now. So a fairly big game for him. I expect him to rise to the occasion, but if he does have another off game, serious pressure on his position, so he'll know that. Pollard, easily their best 10, absolutely no questions whatsoever. Easy, no questions in their midfield as well. De Allende and Am, outstanding players. I thought Andre Esterhuizen might start pushing into this squad, but he didn't impress in that Welsh tour, so De Allende and Am absolutely nailed on. On the wings, we've got Mapimpi, of course. Colby's injured, so they bring in another small, quick, nippy winger to replace him. Kurtley Arenza, he's very, very quick. That should be really exciting to see. Willemse looks like he's half locked down that 15 slot. Yes, he covers a lot as well. He covers the centres, he covers 10 as well. So, you might think it's safer to have him on the bench, but they want to start evolving this team. So they get the younger, probably quicker Willemse on there, with the slightly older Leroux there covering 15 and 10 as well. Like I said, with Willemse probably covering the centres. The 6-2 split, as I mentioned, Quagga Smith there, back row, an emergency winger, Hendriksen the replacement 9. So there's a few shuffles they may have to do, but loads of power, quite a settled team with a little bit of evolution. I think they're really well set. Now on to New Zealand, quite a few changes as we would expect from a side that lost their series at home to Ireland. Bauer though does retain at loosehead, Takiaho is in there starting at hooker, and some changes at hooker with Taylor dropping out completely with Coles on the bench. Ta'avo's back in after his red card. Laulala is nowhere to be seen. So again, big shake up here. Some inexperienced props as well with De Groot and Lomax on the bench. So huge task for these young front rows up against the best 2 sets of front rows in World Rugby in South Africa. So sink or swim for them. That's what makes it so exciting. Sam Whitelock, Scott Barrett are the second rows. Now with Retallick out, there were some questions. What do you do? They could have brought in Tui Pelutu as a big bulky second row and maybe have Barrett at 6, but they haven't gone with that, which is interesting. They've gone with Barrett at second row and Akira Ioane at 6. Huge opportunity for Ioane, but also if it goes badly, this could be His spot on the line definitely for Ioane. Big game for him. They could have started Frizzell as well. So a few big sixes they could have started. But they've gone for maybe the more skillful Ioane. Maybe that reflects the way they're going to play. I don't know. Kane, the under-pressure captain there, obviously at open side. No Papali'i, so expect Kane to probably go the distance if he can. Ardi Sevilla would probably back him up, but you probably wouldn't want to move him because they don't have a specialist number 8 on the bench either. So some very interesting permutations in that pack. They're going to have to go well. I don't expect them to dominate the South African pack, but they're going to have to stand up to them toe-to-toe, especially in that set piece. Now, Aaron Smith was probably always going to start, but who is going to start with him? Foster's sticking with Barrett. Let's see how that goes. Didn't quite get the best out of Barrett against Ireland. You've obviously got Moanga on the bench there to replace him if needs be. Centres, Havili comes in at 12. Again, big opportunity. Other centres are going to start coming back. The likes of Leonard Brown, I think, could definitely come back in if Havili doesn't go well. So again, some pressure on these players for New Zealand. Ioane retains at 13, which is unsurprising. He probably covers wing as well, looking at their subs. Talking of the wings, a bit of a shuffle here. I think it's potentially a better back three with the power of Caleb Clark, the pure class of Jordan, helping out Barrett with that high ball contest that's going to come from South Africa. Maybe they'll try and kick to Clark quite a lot. We will see. Then on the bench, I've mentioned the front row, but you've got Tupu Vaa'i there as the young second row on the bench. Big Frizzell. Christie's in ahead of Fakatava, which I think is fair enough. Fakatava didn't make his move in that series against Ireland. And then the other back there is Tupaia on the bench, covering the centres with probably Ioane covering the back three. Now, this is a huge opening game. Really, really interesting, even more than normal. I think Foster's job is on the line if they lose both of these games in South Africa. That pack is going to have to step up for New Zealand against the best pack in the world, probably in South Africa. No one's expecting them to completely dominate, but they've got to create a base because I think New Zealand are going to have to be clever. I don't think they're going to win a power game. They need their skills to come back quickly, do some clever plays and execute. But that South African game plan, well, I think it's going to be pretty straightforward. The overall strategy is to smash the vulnerable New Zealand pack. And in defence, but huge pressure on the back line. See if those skills crumble like they did a bit against Ireland. Now, I think the pressure's all on New Zealand. They could well respond with a fantastic performance. They've done it plenty in the past. But I think my money's on South Africa here. I think they're going to be better than against Wales. And I think their power is going to be too much. And there's going to be too many penalties at things like scrum time. The maul might be too strong. And I think they're going to come away with a victory. Anyway, who knows though? These are two great sides going at it. That's what makes it exciting. Pop all the comments below. And I'll catch you next time.